see coverage always on site. You see others bringing news about it rather than extensive coverage. So it really depends on the political agenda of the station and how they relate to the political agenda of the country.
I have
Could we have a response here?
Sure.
From the women's side. I think there's also a possible, and I can't pretend to figure out the media's intent, but a possible answer to why Bosnia shows up on TV and, say, Kashmir does not, the slaughter of Muslims, is it Burma? I believe it's Burma, Cambodia, and other places doesn't show up on the TV either. We have a racial question here also. Bosnia, although they're Muslim, they're white, they're European. This shows up. It gets people upset. Kashmir, Asian, Southeast Asia, these people are not white. And if you look at the history of America, wars, military strategies, etc., you cannot come to any other conclusion. We didn't drop bombs even when the Jews were asking us to bomb things in Germany where concentration camps were located as early as 1942. We did not bomb. And yet we dropped the bomb on Japan, on Hiroshima, as a means of getting them to stop fighting, is what I was always taught in school, because they wouldn't give up. It was their duty to die, and so you drop a bomb on them. And I was taught that. And Vietnam, my generation's war, the Gook, the slant eye. You demonize a people before you destroy them. It's very hard, however, to get American majority people to demonize other white people. It's really harder to do that. They did not demonize the German. Not really. The Nazi, yeah. But really to demonize the enemy, they did not do it. But they will do it against any other cult, any other color group that is not Caucasian. And I think that's a point to consider in media presentation.
Okay, a question here.
Okay, I have a comment to the Iranian brother who said that he's social Muslim. I'm an American brother who never been Iranian, and he's American brother who is socially Muslim. I believe the problem here is your problem, because if you studied the history a little bit, if you spend a little bit time when you were doing non-Islamic things, and you see that the United States, one of the greatest thing about it, it's a constant in its a hypocrisy. So you are the one who mislead yourself. You waited till Bosnia happens all those years. You did not find that the United States, with all that history with Israel and Palestine and Arab and Kuwait, and you needed Bosnia. This is a point against you. One point.
Excuse me. Yeah. You have a question? Yeah, I think many of us would.
I would like to make a quick. Okay. Well, I believe
one quick, and then we'll have it.
It's very quick. The whole thing is.
Hold it up by your mouth.
The platform that we are in is a platform of understanding each other, not really condemning each other. And I believe that I know, inshallah, that everybody has good intentions and everything. But I believe that we should welcome the courage of the brother. We should welcome his intent. We should welcome his move to the truth. We should be grateful to Allah that He has enlightened him. And I really applaud him for his courage. So many people in his place did not have the courage to do it. I really applaud your position. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you. Yes.
I'd like to turn the discussion back to the issue of minorities, and with regards to Christian minorities who are living in lands with Muslim majority under secular government. I'm sure many of you, and Dr. Varler himself is familiar with similar situations like in Lebanon and the Middle East. It is common practice, and I can speak of personal experience in Egypt, for instance, that the local Christian population, when feuds develop among them and disputes, they do not take it to the courts. They do not take it to the church. They take it to the local sheikh or imam of the local mosque to resolve it. This is very common. I'm not saying every situation, but it's very common, and especially in the case of Upper Egypt, they have indeed taken their own disputes to the local leader, if you will, of the Jamaat al-Islamiyah to resolve it from them. That if it proves anything, it hints to the fact of the fairness that the Christian population believe in the at least symbolically those Muslim people as opposed to the secular government or the court system.
Did you have a question?
I don't know if somebody would like to respond to this statement, but I also, before I leave, I would like to make another comment regarding to the very short. With regard to the media not depicting the situation in Bosnia or something, I'd like to bring the case of Sudan, for instance. We are every now and then hearing things and seeing things on the media with regards to the situations in Sudan in terms of the misery and starvation and the human rights, etc. But it seems like the media like to play this tone often and ignore the tremendous progress that the Sudanese government has achieved in terms of social and economic progress that have been commended by the entire observer agencies in the world, like the United Nations agencies, etc. Thank you.
Just behind you, yes.
On the question of minorities, I just want to say that we can look at it back, as you mentioned, that most of those legal proceedings that have entered in court and opinions and decisions, a lot of minorities have done a lot. I think that what I would suggest is that a lot of Muslim-formed non-for-profit corporations and focus on employment training, and the government would support you. They would fund you and liaise with, and there would always be discrimination in this country. It would never die. However, Muslims are very competent. You are the third. You have very competitive per capita. You're one of the most educated religious organizations in this country, including Jews and so forth. So let us form non-for-profit corporations whereby you can, if a person is being discriminated upon, that corporation can, let's say it's a social action agency, can use their position to bargain for discrimination, and it could be very effective. On another hand, when you mentioned the question of why they're showing Bosnia, it's an ethnic situation, and there is a poet who said the mouth is always muzzled by the food it eats. The press would only show what would make it commercialized and what would make it economical. One last suggestion I want to say is that I think this dialogue is very imperative at this point in your lives, and I hope that you would continue to have such a dialogue within the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a quick question for Dr. Bishop, and maybe Dr. Jamal Badawi makes a comment after that. I'm really curious to know how you understand the concept of jizya, and just out of curiosity, I want to know how you understand it, and then maybe we hear a comment from Dr. Jamal Badawi, since he didn't finish what he was about to say about the jizya.
I think everybody here knows what jizya is, right? Okay.
Is this a quiz? I said at the beginning, I'm just curious how you understand. Is it the same understanding as mine or different? You see, because I had it understood different ways at the beginning, and then when I started to read about it, I removed all my wrong understanding. So I'm curious to know whether you had the same misunderstanding like myself or not.
Yeah. Well, you're waiting for me to say poll tax or tax on Christians or other minorities, non-Muslim Muslims, and I think that's the usual translation interpretation given, at least in the histories. I understand it that it has been interpreted by Muslims as that which is given in place of other things that minorities are not required to do, but which responsibilities are borne by the majority, such as fighting in a war, which you may not ask a non-Muslim to fight in a jihad, for example. So that this is in a kind of rough